They all thought they knew Lisa. A quiet, withdrawn teenage girl with a book in her hands and a perpetually downcast gaze. A shadow that glided silently through the house after he appeared. William, her mother Elena's new husband. Brilliant, successful, smelling of expensive perfume and the confidence that money can buy. For Elena, he was salvation. A prince after a long period of loneliness. For the world, an exemplary family man. For Lisa, a carefully disguised predator whose lair had become her own home. His fatherly care was as polished as his cufflinks. The hand that rested heavily on her shoulder, lingering a second longer than necessary. The double-meaning jokes that made her shudder inwardly as she feigned an incomprehensible smile. The gaze that seemed to casually sweep over her figure when he thought she wasn't looking. Lisa endured. But her patience wasn't the weak-willed submission of a victim, but the cold, calculating discipline of a soldier preparing for war. She watched her mother, usually sober and strong, melt under his spell, her blind trust in him. Simply voicing an accusation meant risking being labeled a liar, a jealous daughter who had ruined her mother's chance at happiness. Words weren't enough. She needed ironclad, irrefutable evidence. And Lisa decided to obtain it. Her room became an evidence lab. Lisa installed a tiny video camera and a voice recorder in her room. She studied her mother's schedule, William's habits, the locations of electrical outlets, and the blind spots of the home security system he'd installed, for safety. Lisa kept a diary, recording dates, times, words, and touches, transforming her fear into structured data. She was no longer a frightened child. She was the archivist of his own downfall. And then he came? Without knocking. At 1 in the morning. Poor thing. Can't sleep. Maybe Daddy William can help you relax. Lisa didn't scream. She turned to him and asked quietly, "Do you often help like this?" "William, by entering your stepdaughter's sleeping rooms." He froze, his smile fading. He hadn't expected such a reaction. He'd expected a frightened rabbit, but found a hunter. Muttering something about concern and misunderstanding, he retreated. The first battle had been won. But Lisa knew it wasn't enough. She needed confessions. She needed his full confession. The next morning, Lisa continued to play his game, but by her own rules. When her mother left on business, she approached her stepfather in the kitchen and asked sheepishly, "What? What did you want last night? Did you scare me?" Emboldened by her timidity, he began to lay his cards on the table. He spoke of mature beauty, of how her mother was no longer the same, and of how they might have a special connection. All of this was recorded on a tape recorder. From that moment on, the hunt became systematic. Lisa accumulated digital trophies, late-night visits, his monologues about love without boundaries, his gifts, from an innocent lace handkerchief to overtly provocative lingerie that accidentally appeared among her things. But the real prize awaited in his office. One day, taking advantage of a moment of distraction, she peeked at the password to his personal laptop. The world that opened up to her there was far more monstrous than she could have imagined. These weren't just perverted fantasies, but an entire system. Correspondence on forums with other men. Exchanging advice and photos of young women, including several of her own, taken with a hidden camera in the living room. Files hidden in encrypted archives indicated he had had a similar experience in the past, but it had been hushed up. Lisa downloaded everything she could onto an encrypted flash drive. Now Lisa had everything she could to destroy him. But she wanted to do it in a way that would not just make her mother believe him, but would reveal his true nature. That evening, her friends gathered at her mother's, and William began his usual conversation about morality and family values. During a pause, Lisa calmly said, "It's strange to hear that from someone who offers me a special connection." He tried to laugh it off, but I was already connecting my laptop to the TV. Recordings began to flash across the screen. His late-night visits, our conversations in the kitchen, his correspondence. A shocked silence fell over the room. Mom stared at the screen, and then at him, with icy disgust. His world had collapsed in 5 minutes. Mom kicked him out that same night and filed for divorce the next morning. Lisa handed over all the evidence to his employer and the police. His career was gone. His reputation, too. A criminal case was opened against him. Lisa's revenge wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a cold, mathematically precise operation. She didn't scream about her pain. She simply presented the facts. And one press of the play button was enough to bring down an entire universe of lies, constructed inside an expensive suit. And the quiet girl with the book finally raised her head and looked at the world with the calm, clear eyes of someone no longer afraid.